Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. And my Ming Aralia plant that I have shown in previous videos, I do want to work a bit on this plant again today, give you a bit of an update, generally just talk a bit about it. And yes, I would say we start right away by just giving you a quick overview of how the plant is doing right now. So I've had this plant now for, I would say, a bit more than probably 9 months. And it has been doing extremely well in my home until now. I've pruned it multiple times. I have worked a lot on this plant actually when it comes to the foliage, and you can see even now it is still winter here. There is a lot of new growth coming. I have seen some dieback in winter, especially in the middle here in the top of the plant. But at the same time, there has been a lot of new growth from different cut points from previous pruning sessions. And I think also today it is again time to simply work on it a bit more, taking out some of the dead wood that I left on the last time because I wanted it to really die back before cutting it back too much, so I'm not risking the health of the tree. And I will also again just trim it back a little bit. So I would say we start right away with a nice trim on this tree and then we see where we go from there. So let me get my garden shears. And even though I like the growth down here, as I want to train this tree as a bonsai in the future, I do want to keep the lower part of the trunk as empty of foliage as possible. So again, I will go in here and take out the new growth that has formed here. And you can see I already took out lower stems here, and of course from this growth points then I always see new foliage developing. So that's always something I have to go in here and take out the foliage. Not wait too long so it doesn't form too big of a scar then already. So definitely it was about time already again to go in here and take out this foliage. The second most apparent thing I want to work on today is actually this dead stump here. So this one right here. As you can see, it basically blocks the little branch down here. It takes away from the overall look of the tree, I would say. I do like the form of the trunk, especially from this side, but we have this very unsightly stump here that I have left on until now because it was very fresh when I got it. I think it was already cut when I got it, but it is simply no longer a risk now, I would say. So it has really died back as much as possible, and I think we can take it off. So let me see from which side to best tackle this task, because of course we want to get a cut that is still far away so it doesn't, if infection comes, damage the entire tree, but also to be close enough to not look too unsightly. So definitely let's see in which direction we can go from this. So it is a bit difficult, I can already see that now, to really get in there, so we might have to cut it, take out part of the branch and then see where we go from there. So I would first take an upper part out here just to get a feeling for it and then see how far down we should actually go here. I guess if we go from here roughly, so from here we should be able to get it out without damaging the rest of the tree. That worked just as I intended, so that's good. And I will leave this part as it is right now, and later on when it has again calloused over a bit in a couple of weeks, I will still even it out here from this side. So to give you a better look from this side, you can still, it's quite prominent here, the stump, but we will go more diagonal in the future once it has died back a little bit. And I also see there is another tiny stump in here that we will need to clean out. Again, quite difficult to reach it here, but let's see if we can reach it. But that one is probably even more difficult because it's really in between the main trunk here and the side branch. I'm not sure we will get in here. It has died back definitely already, so it is brittle, but let me see if I can simply bend. No, it doesn't really move much, but we will get there in a second. So let me see. I think we really have to, in this case, just cut away at it and hope for the best, but not as easy as the other one. It's starting to move more, definitely. Just cutting away at it. I mean, the good thing is there is at least enough space, so I'm not too worried about damaging the trunks behind it. And then it broke off anyway, and it looks also as it has mostly died back already. So we definitely cleaned out a nice area here. It really accentuates this new side branch, I would call it here, that of course opens up this entire space here. I was thinking right now if we should try to wire this out a little bit. I know Ming Aralias are very difficult to wire because they are quite brittle. So the chance of snapping a branch while trying to wire is very high. So normally how you affect the growth and the direction of the growth is basically by directional pruning, where you would go in, let's say in a branch, let me look at a good one like this one, I would take out the inner branch so it will grow more outwards in the future. But I think at the moment I'm not gonna wire this one because I'm not even sure, because this growth up here is also not really, it would look actually a bit weird to wire it out because the rest of the tree is rather growing upwards. If I then have one branch simply sticking out there, it would actually not look too good on the overall design of the tree, I would say. So what I want to do now is go around it a bit. I have shown you before these three parts here that I have taken out previously. I think they have died back now also enough to just clean them up a little bit. So we can go in here, take out this part, also remove it from the soil here then. And little by little I want to cut them a bit more every time they again dry out a little bit. Because at the moment it's still very prominent, like the scars here, and I want it to look more natural, to have more of a little clump down here and then the main trunk developing from this side. Here we can also see where it took out a side branch previously, so we can clean that up. From this side, I'm not quite sure if I want to leave this one on because it does stick out quite a lot, but I think it actually balances quite nicely with this side branch on the other side. But what I have thought about is taking out one of these two. We have here two parallel branches. They shoot basically straight up, and I'm not too sure I like the way this one is blocking the empty space here. And we might even take out the second one here, which is blocking the main trunk. So what I can say is that I definitely want to take out this one right here. So we again go in as low as possible, take it out. And I think this would really make a nice cutting. Let me get it out and give you a look. So this one I might try to root to see if we get a nice cutting out of this. So this opened up this space already. I do see we have some growth also developing here from the base of where we just cut. So I do want to take this out as well. Good. And now the question is, do we take out this branch? And I really don't like the look of it, to be honest, if I look at it from different perspectives now, because it is too straight for the rest of the tree. The rest of the tree has some movement in it, for Ming Aralia at least, but this one does not at all. So I think we will also take this branch out. And this one I really tried to take out as flush as possible, to give you a look. It of course looks like a big scar right now. This normally will heal over quite nicely and sooner or later darken again to fit into the rest of the tree again. But it definitely has now opened up this entire upper part of the trunk, making the trunk line look way taller again, still nicely showing the taper of the tree nevertheless. And I think in the future this will benefit the tree. Because my future plans for this tree, and let's move on to maybe talk a bit about the future plans for this tree, are to first of all come spring repot it. It's still basically in a nice little cover pot here, but I really want to repot it into its first training pot to really make sure we move on with the progression of turning this plant into a bonsai in the future. And I think Ming Aralia does definitely lend itself to turn into a bonsai, because I really like the nice little small foliage on the tree. It has a very tree-like look, so definitely I think there is potential in this one for future work on as a bonsai. Let me just clean out some of the dead leaves. As I mentioned before, especially in here in the middle, there have been some dead leaves this cold season. So again, I think opening up the trunk here will probably help the tree so more light can reach also this area here in the future. In general, I must say this Ming Aralia was very easy on me until now. I have it in, I would say, medium low light indoors. It is basically quite easy to take care of. So I just make sure that the soil is moist all the time, so I'm never letting it dry out. And other than that, it actually does quite well. I feel like as it is quite a bulbous tree, it does store water quite nicely, so the soil doesn't dry out too quickly. I will see how that changes once we have it in a training pot. But other than that, other than the occasional dieback on the leaves, there is not really much to worry about this tree. It is quite a fast grower, so it shoots out new growth quite fast after pruning. So I would expect in a week to have the first new shoots already forming here from all the pruning points of today. And other than that, I can definitely recommend a tree like this. So Ming Aralia plant is definitely a plant you can look into if you have not done so yet. I do recommend them. There's two different varieties. So the ones I have here with this very thin looking leaves, and there's one that has more round leaves. I personally believe this thin looking leaves maybe fit a bit better for bonsai, but of course that's just personal preference. If you prefer the other ones, give it a try. It will definitely also have quite a nice look. If you have any questions about Ming Aralia still, of course feel free to leave them in the comments and I will get to answer them as soon as I see them. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you leave a like, and if you enjoy my channel, of course also feel free to subscribe to it if you haven't done so yet. Hopefully then I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.